And these are the current profiles for 3 more compact fluorescent lamps. In this case, these are a circa 1999, I think it's January 1999 Philips SLS compact fluorescent lamp made in the Netherlands. This is a Taiwanese Osram Sylvania commercial grade compact fluorescent lamp. Back when I got the 20-watt version of one of these, I think they were like $8 a piece, or the 20-watt version I got, which was the cheapest, was $7 a lamp. That would be in mid 2008, and this one is a Osram compact fluorescent lamp, American made in the now closed Maybrook, New York plant. This is actually the lamp that I featured in my Osram compact fluorescent guts repair video that is extremely popular for some arcane reason. Why is the trigger all jittery all of a sudden? Let's see, trigger menu. Let's say mode. No. Oh. Anyways, it doesn't really matter all that much. As you can see, the all kind of jaggy, although the Taiwanese one seems to be the nastiest of the bunch. But still, they're 500. So yeah, they all. Let's see if I can get these centered on some lines, so they're kind of a better reference. There we go. 500 milliamperes per division. Okay. Yep. 10, 0, and there we go. There we go. You see, they're all about a little over half an ampere, although the Dutch one seems to be the least. All these look to be in the 700 milliampere, 800 milliampere range-ish. By the way, these aren't exactly the same power lamps. This one's a 9-watt lamp, and these are both 15 watts. So this one you would expect it. So it looks like the current is cursor off, manual, mode XY, channel 1. That's time. Y cursor. Yeah, so it looks to peak at around channel 1. That's splendid. Channel 2. Yeah, 600 and oh, I was looking at. Yeah, still get no, can't hang. I just needed to deal with the cat before he jumped up onto a chair covered with live electrical stuff. Anyways, as you can see from this, the current looks to be in the range of about 490 milliamperes peak for the Dutch one. See the or for the Philips, the let's see, the that's from Sylvania is 680 milliamperes peak. Oh, don't listen to that. Come on, you bloody. There you go. Let's yeah, 770 milliamperes, and for channel 4, which is the Osram one, that is 710 milliamperes. By the way, these are the lamps in question. Oh, it hasn't triggered on anything. Mode manual. get rid of triggers for a bit, and oh, it's normal, that explains it. So I do not attempt this experiment at home, exposed, live, mains, etc., blah blah blah, you know the drill. And these are the three lamps in question. This is the SLS 9 watt Philips lamp. Extremely rare, especially in 120 volt versions, so knock on wood, that will be going in a very safe place after filming this. That is the lamp on channel 2. Might still be able to get those, I don't know, but they're very expensive, as you'd expect from quality compact fluorescent lamps. And that is the Osram Sylvania one that, again, I repaired. You can see some of the screwdriver dings from there when I had to pry the bloody thing open. But, yeah. So these lamps also have the same problem as far as noise, but it's kind of to be expected from built down to a price ballast, which you'd pretty much have to expect in this kind of an application unless you had replaceable lamps. But then again, even in supposedly permanent ballasts, they're still crap nowadays, which with all the electronic garbage. But anyways, two more lamps. This is a Philips SL lamp, although albeit plastic and electronically ballasted. One of their fairly early Mexican offerings, and not one of the really high-end glass magnetically ballasted ones that last virtually forever, but still a much better offering than a lot of the crap nowadays. It is, I think, 18 or 19 watts, February 1992 if I recall correctly. And again, same little bit of jankiness, 500 milliamperes per division. This really noisy one is a electronics cool light, a 2 watt cold cathode lamp, and that, you can see it's really kind of ripply and noisy. But overall the load current's spread out a bit more than it is on other fluorescent lamps where it's just this big block. Although at least this Osram one, it's kind of, it isn't a sharp spike, there is some delay there. So it is better, but that's just because, as I covered in the teardown video, that does have a common mode choke on the main supply. And that, you can see, is pretty noisy. And let's see if I can get a full period and 3 recording things. Anyways, right, parameters overrange, blah. And yeah, you can see it's kind of pretty noisy in there. And let's see, cursor, X cursor is judging by the oscillations I saw in there, it's fairly so you can see what I'm doing. Oscillations look to be a little bit unstable, but that's kind of to be expected. I think these employ just either a Royer or a ring oscillator. Can't recall correctly. I recall hearing things about them using Royer oscillators, but those don't tend to see them on 120 volts, but I think with the transistors they use, they can get away with it. Again, I have a couple of dead ones, I think one of which actually broke in service and one of which failed in a semi-enclosed fixture because I got them many years ago back when I didn't know anything about that. All the others, including ones that I've had in service for upwards of half a decade, like the ones lighting our chicken house complex, those have been used in virtually nightly service since 2007, so they're extraordinarily long-lived lamps, but then that's what you expect for cold cathode. 3, anyways, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. This gets a better view. Doing it over 10 periods gives a more accurate idea of the frequency. So yes, 3.704 kilocycles. So if I do it on channel 3, this will make sense, but it doesn't really change much. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 3.704 kilocycles. That's about, you know, 30, 31, or 37-ish kilocycles, which sounds like a fairly typical frequency for these things. But anyways, yeah, so that's... And then you can see there are these bigger bits of oscillation, which if I can use the cursors to measure, is... This will... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is over 5. That's 847, so that would be about 4,300-ish, 4,250, 4,300-ish cycles per second. These other oscillations, which are... yeah, so... And again, as you can see from this, they're fairly unstable, so... But again, these things aren't exactly the cleanest. But then again, it's still... When you think about it, if you're willing to deal with the things, it's more distributed than the things you get from compact fluorescents and a lot of cheap power supplies, actually, where it's just this bang, bang, right at the where the mains thing levels off, hence the flat topping. Now I think a lot of that might just be an artifact of the transformer, but anyways, that's because I'm running it on a transformer isolated supply. For safety reasons, obviously, because otherwise one of these would be at ground level, which is... And white balance is being a complete troll. Hang on. Oh. Come on. Yeesh. Anyways. Oh, there we go. Okay. Otherwise, this ground stuff would all be at mains potential and big risk of electrocution. Well, actually, it would be either we're just dead short to the scope, which could possibly kill it, and given that this thing costs more than a car, kind of want to avoid that, if at all possible. And also, and by the way, a bit of a trick as far as these things, use 1x for your current things, because I think a lot of the noise that I was seeing yesterday, or in the previous video that I did on these, that was just attributable to the fact that I was using 10x, so a combination of that and that tends to be, at least from what I've seen, somewhat more noise prone, because especially given that there's wires all over the place and that these things are fairly effective broad spectrum EMI radiators at close range. So yeah, I don't see any other lamps do this. And 3 more lamps. This one is a magnetically ballasted General Electric, I think it's either 15 or 17 watt compact lamps. I think it's a FLB 17, I think so. It would be 17 watts. Really old, high quality, magnetically ballasted one. You can see that one has a fairly clean current profile, although there's a little bit of a hitch there. And of course you can see that also it lags the mains because, again, magnetic, you know, you'll have the Iceman. That is, which by the way, if you aren't familiar with that, is a common mnemonic for which leads what with inductive and capacitive loads. Potential leads current in magnetic, hence the L, and current leads potential in capacitance, hence the C. You know, derp. This is a Philips L Prize lamp. Again, similar amount of noise. Although this one seems to be continuously operating, although there's this little bit of a hitch right during about 0 cross, or thereabouts. And this one is the this is one of the let's move these out of the way. This is one of the Cree 6 watt LED lamps that are super cheap. I think this particular one retails for $9 and change at Home Depot when I got it. You'll see those are fairly in line with the main supply, although this, you can see there's also this little bit of a hitch it stops at 0 cross and keeps, actually 0 cross looks to be right about there, so I'll center it so I can easily determine these things. 600 volts. Okay, so that line, and center it. Well, that is 0 cross. About. Okay, yeah, so it looks like it shuts off when the potential drops down to within a couple tens of volts of 0 cross, and starts back up again with a little bit of ringing in there. And again, like it looks like the L-Prize does the same thing. So yeah, obviously if you want really clean waveforms, get a or if you need relatively clean waveforms, the compacts is the way to go. Of course, and again, they haven't been made in many years, and they're fairly collectible, but you can, I think, oh, there's some company that still makes, I think they're called Enertron, that they still, or as of a couple years ago when I last checked, they still make magnetic compact fluorescent adapters. Like, for example, that one, which has been in continuous use now for close to 4 years. Still on the lamp that I used it. But then I got, say, a Taiwanese-made Fiat Electric from, I think, 1993, if I'm reading the date code right, and that is a British-made SLI lamp. So you got, again, fairly high quality in that little bunch of dark stuff right there. In between those, that's just accumulated dead bugs. But yeah, very good things to get if you can still find them. And grab up all the ones that you can, because the eco hippies are also going after magnetic valves because they're very reliable. And yet more lamps, in this case a 32 or a 34 watt SLS Philips. This one is, I think, September 2001, Mexican made, hence the over an ampere current spikes, but then again, it's to be expected. I think the nominal operating current of this lamp is something like somewhere in the neighborhood of 600, 700 milliamperes or so. So I can say again, fairly high. First factor probably 2.5 to 3, which is typical from what I've seen. 192, 200 milliamperes. 200, come on, you. There you go. And this one is 300. Okay, this is, again, means as a reference, that's what I'm triggering off of. This fluorescent lamp is, again, that's as I've already mentioned, this one is a, I think it's an 8 or 9 watt Fiat Electric Taiwanese made lamp. You can see this, there's just a little bit of a change in operating current in the area around 0 cross, and then at about the 80 to 100 volt mark, the driver turns on and draws relatively constant current despite the mains waveform. So, and then this one with these little jaggy shumpies is a one of the really nasty, cheap, crappy, generic, no-name deal extreme lamps that you could get for a couple bucks a piece, and still can. Actually, I did get that from Deal Extreme back when we had a PayPal account, because PayPal are a bunch of douche hats, but then again, that's a rant for another day. And those are all a bunch of T1 3/4 lamps wired in series. As you can see, the peak current is, let's see, milliamperes. That's, if you get yonder cursors, mode manual, source channel 4, and what is the peak current? By the way, these lamps, or those LEDs, you typically, your standard rating you see everywhere is 20 milliamperes nominal. Generally, especially the cheap Chinese ones, 10, maybe 15 if you're really stretching it. Nominal current of 56 milliamperes, or the peak current of 56 milliamperes. That ain't gonna do those LEDs any good, actually. No, wait a minute. 60 milliamperes. Absolute rubbish, but then again, don't buy the bloody things. Yeah. And 3 more lamps. They think these will probably be the last 3 tonight. Unless I find anything else interesting. Again, mains reference. This is a... I think it's an 8 or a 12. It's an 8 watt awesome Sylvania LED lamp. Again, bunch of noise on it. It is fairly typical. Bit of a jitter from the supply starting and stopping at around 0 cross. This one is a 13 watt Harbor Freight lamp. It's Harbor Freight branded. Got it in a partial box for really cheap because I think one of the lamps was broken and was taken out. It only came with 3 lamps, even though it's a 4 lamp box. But anyways, again, fairly typical jank waveform that you'd expect from these low-end Chinese compact fluorescent lamps that proliferate nowadays. And this really noisy one, which is a 23 watt, 120 volt awesome Sylvania lamp. But what's interesting to note is that waveform is almost 90 degrees out of phase with the main supply, so that's again suggestive of the capacitive dropper that it uses for the LEDs. Because you can see right in there, there's a pair of LEDs in there. Glenn's just got a pair of T1 LEDs in there, and now just for safety reasons. And that, by the way, is one of the really funny looking awesome Sylvania ones. And the aforementioned healer crap. And with the lamp turned on, actually looks like the current spike from the 23 watt one is influencing the others, because there's now this big little jaggly dip. I think it doesn't look to be a local drop in the potential much, but it does seem to be affecting it. I think what I might try and do is try these experiments individually, but I'm just, this is a combination of the test of the 4-channel capabilities of the scope. I'm just doing them all at once, or doing them in multiples of 3. And but again, yeah, very jaggly, jank waveform from the LED, and I actually may do some follow-up videos on using the little brick EMI filters just to try and take care of some of that jaggliness. But yeah. But again, this lamp does look to be a bit of stuff from the dropper, because the LEDs inside run all the time, even when it isn't in nightlight mode. As you can see right there, those little blue dots, the LEDs are still working in there. So yeah. Oh, and of course, again, mains experiment, risk of electrocution, blah blah blah. And for my mains reference, I am using 100x scope probes, the usual. A 100x scope probe, even though I've got 2. And the weird colors, which I think these are Piggy P6060 and P6200. I think these are probably a later generation of probes from the same OEM that made these, because this is a probe that I had to borrow from my ON scope, because I only have, because these are the only 2 1x, 10x switchable probes that I have lying around at this time. So I think what it probably is these are the same OEM that does the ON probes. And judging by, these are the colored rings that were on them when I got them. Because those also happen to be the channel 1 and channel 2 colors of ON scopes. I think that's probably, there might be some association between whoever made these probes, which is I think Hantek and ON, who seem to be one of the more common low-end DSLs. I mean, it's exactly what you'd expect for a $300 Chinese clone of a Tektronix scope. But because I think, aside from the colored screen and the colored buttons, the buttons aren't all white. They're basically a clone of the Tektronix TDS200 series, at least from pictures that I've seen, because I've never seen a TDS200 in real life, or TDS200 series scope, because those just had monochrome screens. But then again, they're also very early DSL. So yeah, and of course also the knockoff ADCs, because actually I have a teardown video that I need to make public, but like it's got Chengdu Sino Microelectronics knockoffs of analog digital converter or analog devices ADCs in it. They're HWD 9451s if I recall correctly. But I know that the legit analog devices ones retail for in the neighborhood of at least nearly $30 a piece in 1/0 quantities on DigiKey. So, and I think they're still over $15 in quantities, like quantities of 1,000 or so. But I don't know, that's just from what I recall, which may or may not be correct. But anyways, it's been a video of random stuff.